Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to the temple. This is a special Shabbat today. It's Repro Shabbat. It's the National Council of Jewish Women, Reproductive Rights and Reproductive Justice Shabbat. And we will do a special reading from the Torah, which actually is from the Torah portion of this Shabbat. So not that special, but it's the only Torah portion that speaks about the issue of miscarriage and, in a way, of abortions. And we will also have a special blessing for this Shabbat. We begin our service singing together, Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, how beautiful the day is, it is Shabbat. God of our ancestors, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, we affirm that you have created each of us in your sacred image, endowed with the inherent right to dignity and autonomy. We ask that you guide us towards a caring and loving community and nation that reveres this dignity in each of us. We affirm that reproductive freedom, the sacred right to own the personhood of one's own body, is a fundamental part of the just society for which we strive in your name. We ask that you endow us with the strength and resolve we need, because the path that lays ahead is challenging, and we all need resilience, strength, and courage. We ask that you protect the most impacted and marginalized among us, because it is they who are most at risk. We do this work in your name, O God, because we are the compassionate, loving creation of a compassionate, loving, and just God. It is a holy, sacred work. May our country become a place of liberty and justice for all, and may our care for one another include care and respect for each other's right to good and affordable health care, including abortion care, and a right to live safely and securely as we each follow our path of conscience and the God we each do or do not believe in. Amen.
Amen.
We turn to page 172 to sing together Ma Tovu. Now, as we turn to page 195 for the Berlow. אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל, המאיר לארץ ולדרים עליה ברחמים, ובטובו מחדש בכל יום תמיד מעשה וראשית. מה רבו מעשיך, אדוני, כולם בחוכמה עשית. מלאה הארץ קנייניך, תתברך אדוני אלוהינו, על שבח מעשה ידיך, ועל מאורי אור שעשית, יפארו הסלע. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות. And we read together, the world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch ata Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. And we go to page 200 for the calling of the Shema. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Us
now to page 204 to sing together Mi Chamocha. For the Tefillah on page 205. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring near the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. And we read together, You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the door frame, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, Eternal Teacher. Encourage my seeing. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye Hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, לקדש
To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. now to page 216 for the blessing for shalom, for peace and wholeness and wellness. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our effort to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all come to see that it is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit that life prevails. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch ata Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael bashalom. The prayer for healing and courage and strength in our lives, in the life of everyone that is dear to us, is on page 253. We rise and turn to page 244 for Seder Kriyat Torah, the order of reading from the Torah.
Oh
Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Our God is one, Adonai is great, holy is God's name.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai Agibura, Yagibura, Yadivir, Yanitzach, Yahod. Ki kol bashamayim uvaretz, Ki kol bashamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlaka, Yomit nasi likol lirosh.
Please be seated. We're reading the Torah portion of Mishpatim. It's the Torah portion that comes right after the story about the 2 tablets of covenant, the 10 commandments. Both the 10 commandments, the 2 tablets of covenant that were given to us at Sinai, and this Torah portion is part of what in our tradition is called Sefer Sefer Abrit, I'm sorry. I mixed Hebrew and English together, sorry. Sefer Abrit, the book of the covenant, meaning they're all are seemingly one unit that begins in Sinai and ends in Sinai. At the end of this Torah portion, there is a very weird moment where Moses and the elders and Aaron and Aaron's children are climbing to the top of Mount Sinai, and they view Adonai our God, literally view Adonai our God, and then they sit and eat. And that's kind of the end of the story of the covenant. What we see in our Torah portion is a series of laws that come one after the other. I mean, it's a chain of laws that very quickly follows one another. And if you want to look and try and find a theme and a logic in all the laws, they all have to do with how we treat each other. For example, there is a law about lost and found. So if you find a lost donkey or a lost ox or a garment, that belongs to your enemy, then you're supposed to give it back to them. If you see the donkey of your enemy lying down because of the burden on the back of the donkey, you should get over yourself. That's actually what the Torah says. It's one of the most beautiful verses in the entire Torah. The Torah understands that when you see the donkey of your enemy and your enemy in distress, you kind of like have a glowing moment of God. There is God. Okay, that guy deserves that punishment, but you need to get over it, and you need to help the donkey and the person that you hate, your enemy, raise the donkey. Why am I giving that example? This Torah portion is all about human beings created in the image of God. It begins, and it's a very weird beginning, by talking about the laws of servitude, of having a slave, having a servant. But actually, what he does, according at least to the traditional rabbinical interpretation, it says that it's forbidden to have servants or slaves, because after 6 years you have to send them away and you have to pay for the time that they've done to you. So it doesn't look so much as life slavery as we see in Egypt, but as something very different. And in the midst of this Torah portion that deals with how human beings deal with one another, there is the only part in the entire Hebrew Bible that speaks about miscarriage. It's in the part that talks about damages that human beings do to one another, and what should happen there. And we will read that part and speak a little bit about how rabbis through generations interpreted that. But first, let's say the blessing for the Torah on page 250. Please, Jennifer.
Baruch et Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
וכי נצאו אנשים ונגפו אישה הרה ויצאו ילדיה ולא יהיה אסון, אנוש יענש כאשר יסית עליו בעל האישה ונתן בפלילים. ואם אסון יהיה ונתנה נפש תחת נפש, עין תחת עין, שן תחת שן, יד תחת יד, רגל תחת רגל, כוויה תחת כוויה, פצע תחת פצע, חבורה תחת חבורה. When two or more parties fight, and one of them pushes a pregnant woman, and a miscarriage results, but no other damage ensues, the one responsible shall be fined according to the woman's husband may exact, the payment to be based on reckoning. But if other damage ensues, the penalty shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. So what the Torah portion here is saying to us, that we have here two scenarios. A woman is accidentally pushed and a miscarriage happens. If nothing happens to the woman, then there is a fine. But if something happens to the woman, and not only to the fetus, there is not only a miscarriage, but she is hurt, then there is a punishment according to what happened to her. If she dies, then it's a life for a life. That means a capital punishment. If she's just hurt, then we have that list of a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, a burn for a burn, a bruise for a bruise, and so on, that the punishment fits the crime. But it is only considered something that you've done to another human being only if the woman is hurt. The rabbis understood from that it's clear. The Talmud in one case even uses the word pshita, which means simple. It's a simple thing. A woman is a human being. A pregnant woman is a human being. The fetus is not considered a human being. And all the sources, all the Jewish sources regarding abortions from that moment almost till the 20th century have no disagreement. It's a rare case when there is no disagreement among rabbis and among Jews. You could hardly find another issue that there's no disagreement on. There are variations, but no one says until the 20th century that a fetus is considered life. In Jewish tradition, clearly, and we actually looked at it at Torah Study, and we looked at interpretations from the Mishnah from the 2nd century all the way till today. Everybody says human life begins not at birth even, but only when the fetus is already out, only when it's already a baby and not a fetus anymore. Before that, it is not considered a life. And all rabbis agree that that means that the life of the woman comes first at any case that she's in danger. Then the rabbis start discussing, beginning already in the 13th century, what happens if there are other circumstances that make it extremely uncomfortable for the woman to have the child. Let's say a social, economic situation. Let's say it was a product of a rape or things like that. And most rabbis, not all rabbis, also say that in that case, it is the life and the well-being of the woman who is carrying the fetus that comes first. In today's world, even among ultra-Orthodox rabbis, the majority agree that abortions that endanger the life of the mother are permitted. The majority agree that if there's a potential disease or something that would make life unbearable for the woman, then she comes first. We see only very few minority opinions that say the difference. I think that Judaism, and this is why the National Council of Jewish Women is taking that as such an important cause and has such a strong stand on reproductive right and reproductive justice. It's one of the few things in our tradition that almost all Jews agree on. And let's hope that soon in our time it won't only be something that Jews agree on, but something that all Americans and all human beings see as a fundamental right of any woman on her body, on her future. Let's say the blessing after reading from the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. Al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe, b'yad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael.
And we rise as we turn to page 283 for the Aleinu. Please join me. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else. Please be seated. We continue together on the top of page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we remember especially Joshua Fink, Raymond Allen Sr., Leah Israelson, Louise Barkus, Henry Sis, Flora Finkelstein, Howard Grossman, Mary C. Roberts, Anne R. Rosenboom, Anna Taylor, Boris Elkin, Mildred Falk, Rosalind Gendel, Aaron Carl, Loni Nafusi, Ronya Talis, Evelyn Weiss, Alfred Berg, Adrian Bayer, Fayette Linker, Zelda Marks, Abram Penner, George Berry, Clarice Gradman, Jean Martin, Hannah Niehoff, Magdalena Kintrow, Louis Sarson, George Herman, Gilbert Levy, Ruth Siegel, Harry Wolf, M.J. Goldstein, David D.A. Zaks Jr., Raymond Sales, Gertrude Feldman, Sidi Katz, Harold Rosen, Henry Temas. And in recent days, Louis Moseson, David Tasman. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. With the blessed memories of our loved ones in our hearts, we rise as we turn to page 294. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביום איכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. זיכרונם לברכה. May the memory of our loved ones come to be a blessing and a benediction to us all. Amen.
Amen.
Our closing song is עושה שלום.
Oh,
לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אמותינו, שתוליכנו לשלום. May it be your will, Adonai our God and God of our ancestors, that we be guided on the paths of shalom, of wholeness and wellness and well-being and peace, and that you protect us from all harm and evil on our way. Bless the work of our hands and grant us grace, loving kindness, and compassion in your eyes, in the eyes of everyone who sees us. Adonai Shalom, bless us with the Shabbat of Shalom. Shalom to our bodies, to our minds, to our souls. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen.